This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase. But did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2018 BMW X2 28i Xdrive. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4. Down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. This video is sponsored by CarMarshal.com. If you'd like to support the channel, click the link down in the description below. CarMarshal.com advertises for over 100,000 vehicles across the US. But let's get back to that 2.0 liter turbo. Now this is pretty bread and butter of BMW. I've driven another vehicle with this same engine setup, and I have to say it's pretty perfect for these smaller vehicle applications. So it doesn't really need to pack this absolute punch. This isn't an X2M. It doesn't really need to knock my socks off, and it really doesn't. It's not anything really too special, but it is a nice solid motor. You're not going to feel sluggish. You're not going to feel underpowered. You're not going to fear highway on-ramps. It is what it is. It's not the straight 6 offered in a lot of other models. 2-liter turbo. Out here on the test track, everything is warmed up. Car's broken in. It's definitely zippy. I think zippy is a good word for it. We'll toss it back down into eco. It's not fast. It didn't shove me into my seat. I'm not regurgitating my lunch, but it is a nice solid power band. The turbo spool's a little high up, but that's really what the turbo's for. You know, it's a more of a efficiency turbo than a powerful turbo. I like it a lot. I think definitely if you were to buy this, you would definitely be happy with it. That being said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Again, I really like it. BMW has been doing a lot of 8 speeds recently, and honestly, I can't really complain about it. It shifts when I want it to. It's nice and smooth. It doesn't buck. It doesn't snarl, and I like that a lot. Last but not least, this is the Xdrive, so it is all-wheel drive. That's what Xdrive means, but you actually can get this in front-wheel drive if you'd like. So let's talk about the interior, which I'm actually really excited about. The X2 actually has different gauges than every other BMW. Every other BMW sort of shares this same sort of gauges. They look nearly identical in all models. That's not the case with the X2, and I really, really like them. They almost look like watches, like a watch hand, you know, on a really nice hand watch, or wristwatch, not hand watch, wristwatch. And while driving, they're nice and smooth. The gauges move so smoothly, so elegantly, that I really, really like it. I think they look absolutely great. On the left is my speedometer, on the right is my tachometer, and then of course I have fuel and my MPG. BMW's been putting MPG gauges on the dash since the 80s, and I love that they still carry this on even though it is digital. Speaking of gauges, up top I do actually have a heads-up display giving me the speed limit of the road next to me as well as my current speed, which is really nice. I can keep an eye on that. And this is a smaller SUV. I really thought it would have less features, but it really doesn't. It actually has a bunch of great features, including that heads-up display. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my cruise control options, and on the right, I have my phone options. I like the overall look of the steering wheel. I think it's new. I think it's fresh. And that's really going to be my overall consensus of this vehicle, is that it just is so new and fresh. The gauges are new and fresh. The steering wheel is new and fresh. The interior part, the shifter, the exterior. We'll get onto all of that stuff in a little bit. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. But I do have paddle shifters on the steering wheel, which is really nice if that's something that you want. To the left of me, I just have my headlights and fog light switches. And then on the door, I have my power mirrors and my power windows. Coming into the center, we do have our media center. Now, this is the pretty typical BMW media center. It's really, really nice. I like it a lot. I think it gives you all the information that you could ever really want. It's very easy to use and it's very easy to learn. If you've never driven a BMW, if you've never been in a recent BMW product, you're not going to be flabbergasted by the infotainment center. You can go, okay, you can kind of figure stuff out. It's very easy to do so, and I like that a lot. We do also have some interior light settings we can do. Color, we have orange, bronze, white, green, blue, and lilac. We'll leave it on blue, I guess, you know, that BMW blue. We can up the brightness of that too. There are mood lights in the doors, which are really, really cool, and that's the color that I was just picking earlier. Down below the center screen, we do have our hazard switch as well as our little bubble button. I don't really know the specific term for this, but when you click it, it will either activate or deactivate front collision warning, pedestrian warning, and lane departure warning. So if you plan on off-roading or parking close to a building or doing something that might freak the car's sensors out, you could just turn them off with one click of a button. Your bubble will sort of go away and you can kind of do what you need to do, but I'd highly recommend leaving that on. It's just smarter to have pedestrian safety, all that stuff activated. Then we do have our radio buttons, our mode, band, CD player, pretty standard practice, and then the climate controls are pretty standard practice as well. I do have 3 levels of heated seats for both front seats, and I think overall it looks really good. Now down below that, I sort of have a clamshell almost center cubby hole, so that actually hides away the cup holders as well as a 12-volt outlet. Now, getting to the shifter, as I mentioned earlier, the shifter is not something you'll find in the 3 Series, in the X3, in the X5, in the 4 Series. It's a very different shifter. I actually like it though. The only thing I don't like about it, I like the feeling of it, I like the look of it, I think it overall works great. However, I feel like it should be a manual. Just the way that it's shaped, the way it feels, the size of it, it feels like it should be a manual shifter, but it's not. I wish that they still offered an SUV with a manual. Don't quote me on this, I think you could get an older X3, like an early 2000s one, in manual, but I'm not sure. To the left of the shifter, we do have some fun buttons. We do have our traction control on and off, our different drive modes. So we do have Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro, which is really, really nice. No Sport Plus here, no hardcore track mode. But that's okay. I mean, this is an X2. I don't really expect to bring this thing out to Autobahn Country Club and beat the snot out of it for a day. Then I do have my parking button. So this vehicle will actually assist you in parking. If it senses that there is a parking spot nearby, it will help you park, which is really, really cool. And then I do have hill descent control. So when you activate this and you're going down a very steep incline, the car will sort of sense that and help you brake and modulate the throttle and everything like that. Then down below the shifter, we do have the selector dial for the center screen. So while you are driving, you can use this little selector wheel, and I really, really like it. I think it has great feedback. I think it's one of the best in the game as in terms of actual selector dials for the center screen. Some manufacturers really do not nail it, but BMW certainly does. Then I just have my power parking brake. Now the seats are decently comfortable. The side bolsters are a little bit slim. And so obviously for people smaller than me, that's not going to be an issue. But if you are closer to my size, they're just ever so slightly uncomfortable because the side bolsters are a little bit too narrow. But that being said, they're fine seats. They're power, they're memory, they're heated. What more can you physically want? But speaking of seats, we do have back seats, so let's do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2018 BMW X2 28i Xdrive. And headroom is good. Headroom is definitely good. Legroom, not so much, but it's not the worst thing in the world. And these seats are a little bit sort of 90 degrees, you know, sort of sitting straight up. It's forcing me to have good posture for once. I do have lights. In the doors, I do have mood lighting as well, which is really, really nice, this sort of strip of light. I have 2 speakers. I do have a center console. Let's see what's in here. Oh, just a little clamshell sort of cup holder. Nothing really too crazy. They're decent back seats, but definitely if you plan on using the back seats a lot, i.e. a family, if you just know that you drive your friends around a lot, if you're gonna drive business associates around, whatever it may be, I would opt for the larger X3. That being said, if it's just you, you know, maybe your first brand new car out of college or something like that, you just landed a good job, you want to treat yourself a little bit, definitely this is something to look for, and I think it checks all of those boxes. Just the issue comes, if you're going to use these back seats all the time, you should opt for a larger chassis X3, X5. Those are the two that I recommend. I think the X4 should be burnt and thrown in the garbage. But let's go talk about the hatch. Of course, it's always super windy whenever I do these, but that's cool. But back here, we do have a little charging, some tie downs. It's a decent size. Those seats do go down. And one touch down, which is super nice. But man, this is just so cool. Last thing about the interior is that I get a very, very large sunroof, and I absolutely love that. Again, it's something I wouldn't expect out of a smaller, more budget-friendly vehicle, but here it is. Here in the X2, we get a great, great sunroof. I really, really like that. Then we got to talk about the looks. This is Alpine White. Oh man, I think this car, this SUV, even though it's coming up on being 2 years old as we get very, very close to 2020 here, I think this might be one of the freshest, crisp looking BMWs that they are currently manufacturing. I think it overall looks great, and I really, really like it. I don't think it's too much. And that's a big thing too, is I don't think the grills up front are too big. I don't think, it's too much in any category. And so let's talk about my final consensus here of the X2. This is the first X2 that I've ever driven because these cars haven't been out forever. This is the first generation of the X2, and I like this vehicle a lot. I think that honestly, for a smaller SUV, this sort of checks all of the right boxes. And I know that I've been reviewing a lot of BMW SUVs recently, and I exclaimed that BMW makes too many SUVs. And while I think this is true, I think the X2 sort of has claimed its own spot. I haven't driven an X1, and I need to do that. But I think that this actually does have a deserved, earned spot in BMW's lineup. It's smaller. It's a lot different than an X3. A lot different. I was expecting it to be a lot closer to the X3, and it just straight up isn't. This is a completely different vehicle. And honestly, for someone looking for a smaller SUV than the X3, this is a really good deal and a really great vehicle. I love BMWs. I've loved most of their products. The X4 and the i3 are really, I think those are two dogs. I don't like them at all. But this is good. I really actually do like this. And I think with everyone making so many SUVs, I mean, every company makes a handful of SUVs now, I think this is really a very, very good contender, and I really, really like it. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for letting me take out their used 2018 BMW X2. They have tons of vehicles on the lot. They had an X5 diesel. They've had X3s. So if BMW SUVs are your thing, definitely check them out. But also they have over 400 cars in their inventory. Audis, Mercedes, Chevys, Mazdas, Mitsubishis. There's even a Porsche there right now. I mean, any kind of car you might want, you can find at Toyota of Naperville. So definitely check out their website. It is up on the screen. They are absolutely awesome. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. Aside from my soul.